Nothing like the smell of wastewater in the morning. What is going on, Turd Nerds? Matt here with Operator Mindset, and in today's video we are going to be talking all about sampling. Man, that sun is harsh. We're going to go back this way. So we're going to be going over grab samples, composite samples, how to take the sample, what to put the sample in, things you need to know regarding sampling that are going to make you a better operator, maybe be able to improve things at your facility, and as always, give you a few exam tips, hopefully get you a point or two on your exam. Now that could be your wastewater exam or possibly even your lab analyst exam. So stay tuned for all those tips and tricks, and let's get into the video. All right, Turd Nerds, we're over here at our effluent structure, and we are going to be talking about sampling. In just a minute, we're going to go through our sampler we have here at this facility. We're going to talk about different ways to sample, different methods to sample. But first, let's just summarize in one big group, why are we even sampling? You may be thinking that. Maybe you don't understand. What's the point of all this, right? It holds everyone accountable. So you as the operator, you sample, you run your process control testing, and that's so that you know that your process out in your plant is performing the way it needs to be. Now regarding your permit sampling, that is whatever your regulatory agency is in your state is holding you accountable as a facility, as an operator. You are being held accountable and they are verifying that you are putting out good, safe, unharmful things back into the environment. That's just part of what we do. You should hold yourself accountable as an operator, and just in case you don't, they will. So let's head over into the lab. We're going to talk about different methods of sampling and different kinds of sampling containers. All right, Turd Nerds, we are back in the lab, and before we go over samples, we're going to go over the different kinds of samples. We're going to talk about how to actually get the samples. Then we're going to discuss the bottles that you see behind me and how to label them and the paperwork involved in that. Then we're going to go back outside. We're actually going to walk through how I overview my sampler, how I make sure it's doing the right thing, and go over that whole process with you. So to start, things you need to know, not just for an exam, but as an operator, the difference between the two different kinds of samples. Number one we're going to talk about is a grab sample. A grab sample is exactly what it sounds like. It is literally going out there, grabbing your sample from whatever it is, influent, effluent, mixed liquor in the basin, and that grab sample is an exact snapshot of what is going on in your process at that exact moment. Grab samples are used in process control. We grab samples every single day and run tests in here to let us know what's going on out there. The next sample you need to be familiar with as an operator and for your exam is the composite sample. A composite sample is simply a bunch of grab samples all put into one. So a series of grab samples over a certain amount of time is a composite sample. Your composite sample is a representative sample. So it represents over a certain amount of time multiple samples and gives you a better overall picture of your process and what is actually going on inside your plant. Whereas a grab sample is just grab it and you know what it is right then and there for that particular sample. A composite can tell you what's actually transpiring over an extended amount of time and can give you a much larger picture and bigger, broader view of what's actually going on in your process. Certain composite samples are required for your permit testing, and those are going to be different for every single facility out there. Regarding your permit testing, your permit testing is site specific to you. So my permit may look just like yours if you're the same size facility. But if you're a lot larger or smaller, or just in general, depending on where you're located at, your permit schedule and your sampling schedule may be entirely different. It could be more samples required or less samples required. It is entirely site specific for you and your location. Now that we know the difference between a grab and a composite, let's talk about how we're actually getting them. So for most of us out there, we are going to have automatic samplers. There's Tons of varieties, tons of different kinds. Our specific kind that you'll see here shortly is an ISCO 5800. It's been a great sampler for us, and an automatic sampler is a great tool to utilize as an operator at your facility. It can sample at nighttime when you're not there. It can be grabbing it right now while I'm in here talking to you. However you program that sampler to pull, and however many pulls you program it to pull, it's going to do that for you and hold that composite sample under preservation under that 6 degrees Celsius. That automatic sampler is going to do all that for you. It's a great tool to have in your arsenal. But for those of us, if you're in a smaller facility and you just don't have that, then you have to go out and manually take your samples. Yes, obviously for a grab, but for your composite samples too. Before we had these automatic samplers, we actually had to go out every 2 hours per our permit, collect our sample and pour it into our composite jug, and that's how we did our composite samples. And if that's how you do it, that's okay too. Though I will say, having the automatic samplers has been a fantastic improvement for us. But I digress. The main thing to remember is for these automatic samplers, make sure you are setting them, make sure you are making sure they're pulling. You as the operator have to make sure it's actually doing what you need it to do. And you don't ever want to just assume you press the button and it's going to work. Always double check, make sure it's actually pulling the sample, pulling the correct amount of mils you needed to pull, and make sure that it is on and functioning correctly before you just walk away from it. Regarding manual sampling, you're going to use a sample stick. As you'll see here, we have a little bit fancier sample sticks. We ordered the nice fancy stainless steel ones. We got tired of the plastic ones getting brittle and breaking. For most of us out there, or a lot of you out there, you're going to have these Frankenstein sample sticks, just this configured thing that you've taken a piece of bamboo and duct taped your water bottle to it, and that's what you're sampling with. Or you got a Gatorade bottle and a broken broom handles, and those two things are zip tied together, and that's what you're sampling with. Whatever your combination of sample stick may be, that's fine. If it works for you at your facility. The main thing to remember regarding those sample sticks though is cross-contamination. You don't want to be sampling your clean clear effluent with the sample stick you just pulled your influent sample from. That doesn't really make sense, does it? So make sure you have multiple sample sticks. The one you're going to be sampling your influent, your raw influent in with, sample with just that and leave it there at that spot. You need to have a totally separate sample stick that you are sampling your clean effluent with, so that there's no cross-contamination and so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot by turning in an inaccurate sample. Just a little pro tip there. Make sure you got multiple sample sticks and do not cross-contaminate your samples in that way. Next thing we want to talk about before we get to the bottles is we're going to talk about the paperwork. There's two forms of paperwork you need to be familiar with. Number one, and most important, you will more than likely see a test question about this in your career of test taking, whether that's lower operators exams or even your lab analyst exam. It's going to be your chain of custody, or COC, commonly referred to. Chain of custody is a legally binding document, so it's very important that you understand by signing your name on this, by relinquishing that sample or by accepting that sample, when you sign, you are taking responsibility for it. So if something goes wrong with that sample, if it does not do right, or if it gets lost, they will follow the chain of custody back to its original point. The chain of custody is supposed to stay with that sample from the time it is poured up to the time it is disposed of. Very important to know about that COC. This document is very important, and make sure you keep your copies on hand at your facility so that if there's ever a question about it, you can look back, you know who signed for the sample and who you gave it to in its chain, and they can follow that line. Next, you're not going to see this on an exam, but I like to do this for us here at our facility. Let's say when you have an inspection, because it's never if, it's going to be when your regulatory agency comes in and they're inspecting your plant, they may see you have automatic samplers, and they may say, hey, how can you prove to us that on your sample days you're actually pulling those samples? Well, other than just taking your word for it, I can actually go to my handy dandy filing cabinet and pull out 3 to 5 years of these records where we physically go out there and mark on this checklist what I'm doing with our sample. This little piece of paper right here can come in very handy regarding your samplers out there. I can tell you when I pre-sampler checklist and my post-sampler checklist. I can tell you exactly what I set it to. I can check the verification on the temperature, and then I initial at the bottom. All of these things can be very important to you as an operator and come in handy if there's ever an issue regarding your samplers. Alright guys, so we're going to go over a couple bottles here. They're various sizes. There's nothing really special about them. There are some that I don't have on hand. Some are the glass amber color bottles. This is going to be the darker brown, and that's to protect it from sunlight is the reason why it's in an amber bottle. But these are some of the ones that we use here at our lab and are very common. These would just be general sample bottles, various sizes. That you might call that a jug, you know. If not, I would just call it a sample container. This is going to be a carboy though. That's going to be your official name for that. You'll see these outside in our actual samplers. This is what we collect our composite samples in, and then I pour this into this jug to bring into the lab, and that gives me enough sample to run all my tests with. Something I really want you to notice is right here. Do you see this sample right here? I don't know if you can read it. It says sulfuric acid, caution, sulfuric acid. So it's actually got a seal on there. So on this seal is very important for you as an operator. If you are pouring up a sample and that seal right there is broken in any way, do not use it. Throw it away, return it. Do not pour your sample into that seal. That seal right there tells me that whatever is supposed to be in this bottle is in here. In this case, it is hazardous, and it has not been tampered with in any way. So if you receive a bottle from your laboratory and the seal is broken, you need to request another one and do not pour up into that sample. Very, very important. Also, regarding sample bottles, this here is a small little fecal bottle. It has this little fill line right there at the 100 ml mark, and it also has the seal on the top. So I know that whatever is put in here, which is normally the sodium thiophosphate, normally inside your fecal bottle you will find some powdery substance, or you will see like a small little pill, what it looks like. Don't just dump that out. That's very important. That is actually sodium thiophosphate, and that is in there to remove any chlorine that may be present in your sample if you're sampling for fecal. So cross-contamination is a very big deal regarding your fecal samples. Make sure you follow your plant specific protocol regarding sampling for fecal so that there is no cross-contamination. One last note about these guys here. I almost forgot. Let me show you something real quick. That is a carboy. This is a car bus. I'm just kidding. It's not really called a bus, but it is humongous. We don't actually use this guy. It is just in our storage facility, and I pulled it out specifically for the video. If you at your facility use a carboy this large, I would love to know what for. Maybe you just got that much sample that you're having to run stuff on, which is insane. But this guy is humongous, and it stands out among all of those guys behind it. So he just made an appearance for the video. He's pretty old too. So yeah, that's all I got on that. Okay guys, one more thing about the bottles before we go out. Wanted to show you these bottles here. If I went outside and I took a sample and I put it in my refrigerator, and it's just a bunch of dookie in here, and the next operator behind me comes in and they're like, I don't know what this is. It's some kind of liquid. It looks like mixed liquor. I don't know where it's from though. The digester, the aeration basin, where? Make sure you are labeling your bottles, okay? Labeling with what it is, the date, your initials, where you got it from, how much it was, and what test you need ran on it is very important. Making sure that you have those labels on there is going to benefit you and protect you from missing out on your samples. Now, you could do like we do. We have this old faithful here, tape dispenser. We just write on the Sharpie what it is, and if I'm going to be storing it in the refrigerator, then another operator can go in there and know exactly what that sample is. Here at this facility, however, it is a smaller one, so if I'm taking the sample, I'm usually the one running it. You also have stickers you can purchase. You can put on any of your sample bottles however you want to do it. But the very important thing is labeling your samples and never leaving a sample in the fridge just with nothing on it, no date, no nothing. It needs to be identified, and that is something that's very important regarding an inspection from your regulatory agency. Now that we've discussed a few different types of sample bottles, let's go outside, set up our sampler, and I'm going to talk us through, show you a few things regarding our sampler specifically, but could apply to yours even if it's a different make or model, and things that I look for regarding setting up our samplers to pull composite samples. Alright, Turd Nerds, we're over here at the effluent structure. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be walking you through visually the things I'm looking for and checking regarding our sampler and setting my program and all of that. So if it was just me standing out here, I just have my clipboard and I'd be filling it out, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to be showing y'all. So the first thing you want to do is walk up, and when we get here we are. I've already opened the cover. It is plugged in. This ISCO here, ISCO 5800, has been a great sampler for us. Had a 1-year warranty. We did have a slight issue with the thermometer in the back of it and called them. It was under warranty and they sent us a brand new one to replace it. These also have the feature right here. This is a battery. So anytime you were ever going to be working on this sampler, very important safety feature, disconnect the battery and then unplug it. That way you kill the power entirely. If you don't, and you were over here working on this pump in any way, shape, or form, and a button got pressed, or the timer came on and it started sampling, it could mess you up. They got a little bitty sticker right there that says pinch point, so it will crush a finger. This is a peristaltic pump, so all it is doing is there's a roller in it right here. It's enclosed in this for your safety, and the hose right here and right here, that roller rolls and it pulls the sample. We're actually about to watch that happen. So we've had issues where if your hose ever busts, you had to replace the hose. Sometimes if this hose right here gets really dirty, this is a brand new one, I've just replaced it recently. I'll throw a picture up of the old one. It was pretty gross, but that comes into play and is very important because you don't ever want to shoot yourself in the foot. You are working around wastewater, it's high nutrient. Our sampler goes all the way down to there, connects to that straw, and it pulls from the inside of our flume mill. So algae growth can happen in here, and that's part of what we're checking whenever we do turn on our sampler and we're making those checks. So I know the sun is harsh, I'm sorry, let me get you over here. Alright, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to open our sampler, make sure that we have our carboys in place, make sure that it is over the carboy that we want to pour our sample into. Now it's very cold in here. I have it set at less than 6 degrees Celsius up here. Pro tip. Now this is not necessarily going to be on your exam, but this is something you need to be familiar with as an operator. If your regulatory agency comes in and they do an inspection, they're going to want to say, they may say or ask you, how can you verify that your sample is pouring what it's pouring and that it's staying cold and that it's not, and that there's nothing else going on regarding the sampler? How can you verify that? It comes back to that documentation. I have that checklist. We also have these thermometer checks in here, so I'm going to look at that. I'm going to mark that on my checklist, and that right there is verifying that the temperature I have it set at up here is in fact what it's staying in here. So now that we know we got our carboy in here, we got our hose in there, we can go ahead and close that back up. I'm sorry if that gets loud. We're starting to back waft. So let's pull us a grab sample. In doing this, before we set our program to pull our composite samples, we're going to pull a grab sample. This grab sample is going to give me lots of good information, and I'm going to be able to see it actually pull the sample. It should purge the line before it pulls the sample, and then once we see the sample come into the carboy, it should purge the line again and kick all the water back out. Those three things are what we're looking for. So I'm going to simply press that button, enter a sample desired volume. I'm going to hit enter. We got 1,000 mils set on there, so I'm going to hit enter again and then enter when ready. So when I hit enter, you're going to hear that pump come on. and you're going to see way down there, it's purging the line. That's actually pushing air back through, and it's bubbling up right there. Alright, so now we're actually pulling a sample. Let's get you right here on the hose. You might be able to see the sample come through. And there it goes, pulling the sample. And it's actually going into the carboy there. So as it pulls the sample, this line's full of water. Now it'll purge it back out. Let's watch that happen. Give it a second. Now it's going to purge the water back out. So it's going to push it all back out, and you know it's doing its job because you're going to see it bubbling again when it gets back in there. So there it goes, pushing the sample that was left in the tubing back out and into the water. Well, that's what we wanted to see right there. So we have our sample, we know that it's going to purge the line, and now we simply just select the program we want it to pull from, and we make it go. You can preset all of these inside the dashboard there. That's what makes it a very versatile and useful model sampler. I think that's why they're also so popular. Again, ISCO, if I haven't said it before, does not sponsor this video. It's just a great product, and it's the one that we have. Your specific sampler may be just like it, may be similar, or might be nothing like it at all. Here we are, Turd Nerds, the next morning. Yesterday we walked through setting up our sampler and getting our program started. All I did was hit start program. At the end, once I verified my checklist was complete, that automatic sampler sampled for us starting that afternoon and into the evening. And now we're here the next day. Let's go outside and pour up our sample. Alright guys, over here at the effluent sampler, first thing we're going to do when we walk up is verify that the program is complete. As you can tell there, it'll go through its sequence until you program done, 5 out of 5. The other big indicator is going to be when you pop this door, if you ain't got no sample in there, right? You see that line? Full of sample. So, that's all good news. What we're going to do real quick, set you down. I'm going to show you how to shake this up and pour it into our container. We want to shake this up so it's a representative of our sample. This is our composite sample. Take our lid off. And we pour it up. Nice, clean, clear effluent. Looks very good. All right. There we go. We're gonna take this inside, label it, a little bit left over, we'll dump it out, start over. Guys, there you have it. That's everything you need to know about sampling. Got a few exam tips sprinkled in there. Got our process, what we do here at this facility. Maybe your process looks similar. Maybe it looks nothing like it. Totally different or way better. It's whatever works for your facility and per your permit. As long as you're following your permit at your facility, that's what you need to do. But hopefully, if you don't have a sampling schedule or a plan, or you need to implement one at your facility, you can use some of the things that we do here to improve yours, or just add to make it a little bit better. As always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. If there's anything I left out that you do at your facility that you think's important, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys do different, maybe improvements that you've been able to make because of the video. As always, I greatly appreciate the feedback. It makes making all these videos worthwhile, knowing that it's helping people out there in this industry. So don't be afraid to comment, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. Until the next one, we'll see you then. Turd Nerd out.